Rebecca Hayes pressed her cheek against her daughter's forehead and felt how cold the skin had become. 4 months old, and Lily was slipping away despite everything the doctors tried. The isolation ward hummed with machines that beeped and whirred, tracking a life that was fading like a candle in wind. 3 star systems. Rebecca had taken her baby to 3 different star systems, begging every specialist she could find. The answer was always the same. Lily's cells were attacking themselves from the inside. Her own body was killing her, and human medicine had no cure. The genetic disorder was so rare that only 5 cases existed in all of recorded history. None of those children had survived past 6 months. Rebecca was a scientist. She understood DNA and cellular biology. She had spent 10 years studying alien life forms before Lily was born. But all that knowledge meant nothing now. She could not save her own child. Through the transparent wall of the isolation ward, Rebecca could see another mother. This one was not human. Charlene was a dragon, though that was just the human word for her species. The actual name was something Rebecca's throat could not pronounce. Charlene was massive, nearly 12 feet tall even when she crouched low. Her scales were deep blue with silver edges and her eyes were golden with vertical pupils. Charlene held her own child against her chest. The young dragon was small, maybe the size of a large dog, but it lay too still. Its breathing came in short, painful gasps. The medical station had put them in adjacent wards 3 days ago. Some kind of quarantine protocol. The dragons and humans had only made first contact 4 months earlier, and nobody wanted to risk cross-species contamination. So the 2 mothers sat separated by a wall, each watching their child die. Rebecca had not expected to feel anything watching an alien. Dragons were supposed to be dangerous. The first contact had almost turned into a war. Dragons breathed fire and had claws that could tear through metal. Their ships were built like weapons, and their culture seemed focused on strength and survival. But grief looked the same, apparently. Rebecca watched Charlene rock her child gently, careful not to let her claws touch the soft parts. The dragon's huge head bent low, and she made soft clicking sounds that might have been singing or might have been crying. The medical staff walked past without stopping. They had given up on both patients. There was nothing more they could do. Lily made a small sound, barely a whimper. Rebecca looked down and saw her daughter's lips had turned slightly blue. The oxygen levels were dropping again. She adjusted the small mask over Lily's face with shaking hands. "Please," Rebecca whispered, though she did not know who she was talking to. "Please don't take her." Across the wall, Charlene's child stopped breathing. Rebecca saw it happen. The small dragon went completely still. The machines on the dragon side of the ward started making different sounds, urgent and final. Medical staff rushed in, both human and dragon doctors working together. They tried everything. Rebecca could see them moving frantically, using equipment she did not recognize. It did not work. After 20 minutes, the dragon doctors stepped back. One of them placed a hand on Charlene's shoulder. The gesture was gentle, almost human. Charlene made a sound that Rebecca felt in her bones. It was not a roar. It was something worse. It was the sound of a mother's heart breaking. The dragon curled around her dead child and keened, a high-pitched noise that should not have come from something so large. Rebecca found tears on her own face. She held Lily closer, feeling her daughter's weak heartbeat against her chest. The dragon doctors left Charlene alone with her child. They dimmed the lights in that ward and closed the privacy screens. But before they did, Charlene lifted her massive head. She turned slowly, and her golden eyes found Rebecca through the transparent wall. Dragons rarely made eye contact with other species. Rebecca had read that in the first contact reports. Direct eye contact was a challenge or a threat in dragon culture. It meant something serious, but Charlene was not threatening. She looked at Rebecca and then down at Lily, and then back to Rebecca's face. The dragon's expression was impossible to read fully, but something passed between them in that moment. Recognition, maybe, understanding. Rebecca nodded slowly. She did not know why. It just felt right. Charlene nodded back, a very human gesture that looked strange on a dragon. Then the privacy screens closed, and Rebecca was alone again with her dying daughter. The night cycle came. The station dimmed its lights to simulate darkness. Lily's breathing got worse. The machines started making warning sounds every few minutes. Nurses came in to check, but their faces told Rebecca what she already knew. It would be tonight or maybe tomorrow. No longer than that, Rebecca did not sleep. She held Lily and sang every lullaby she knew. She told her daughter about Earth, about the ocean and mountains and forests that Lily would never see. She promised things she could not keep, made deals with a universe that did not care. In the morning, when the lights came back up, Rebecca saw movement in the other ward. The privacy screens had been opened again. Charlene's child was gone. The dragon mother sat alone, her wings folded tight against her back. Then Charlene stood up. She moved to the transparent wall between their wards. She pressed one massive hand against the clear surface. Rebecca shifted Lily carefully and stood on shaking legs. She walked to the wall and pressed her own hand against it, opposite the dragon's palm. They stood like that for a long moment. Two mothers, two different species, same pain. Then Charlene did something unexpected. She touched the communication panel on her side of the wall. A light blinked on. The translator system activated. The dragon's voice came through the speaker, rough and deep but surprisingly clear. "What kills your child?" Charlene asked. Rebecca blinked in surprise. Dragons had barely spoken to humans since first contact. Most communication went through diplomats and official channels. "Her cells are destroying themselves," Rebecca answered. "Her own body is attacking her. We cannot stop it." Charlene tilted her head, studying Lily through the wall. Her golden eyes narrowed. "Tell me everything," the dragon said. "Every detail. Every symptom. Why?" Rebecca asked. "Because," Charlene said slowly, "I think I have heard of this sickness before." Rebecca described everything while Lily struggled to breathe in her arms. The symptoms started when her daughter was 2 months old. First came the fevers that would not break. Then the weakness, the way Lily stopped gaining weight. Her skin began to bruise easily. Her organs were slowly failing one by one. Charlene listened without interrupting. The dragon's eyes never left Lily's small form. When Rebecca finished, Charlene was quiet for a long time. "The kindred sickness," the dragon finally said. Her voice carried a strange weight, like she was speaking words that hurt to say. "That is what my grandmother called it. It almost destroyed my people thousands of years ago." Rebecca felt her heart skip. "Your people had this? The same thing?" "Perhaps not exactly the same, but similar enough." Charlene moved closer to the transparent wall, her massive bulk casting shadows. "Young dragons began dying. Their bodies turned against them, just as you describe. Whole generations were lost. My people were many then, spread across 10 worlds. The sickness reduced us to 3 worlds and a fraction of our numbers. How did you survive?" Rebecca asked. Hope was a dangerous thing, but it flickered in her chest anyway. There was a cure, a way to stop the sickness. The elders called it the ember passing. Charlene's claws tapped against the floor, a nervous gesture. But the knowledge was lost. When my people fled to safer worlds, much of our history went with us. I only know fragments. Songs my grandmother taught me when I was young. Songs? Rebecca tried to keep the desperation from her voice. What kind of songs? Dragon knowledge is not kept in books or computers, Charlene explained. We remember through song and story. Medical knowledge, engineering, history, all of it passed from parent to child through carefully preserved verses. But many songs were lost in the Great Dying. The ember passing was one of them. At least I thought it was. Rebecca's hands tightened around Lily. But you remember some of it? Pieces. Maybe enough. Charlene's golden eyes met hers again. My grandmother was a healer. She lived through the kindred sickness. She survived because her mother performed the ember passing on her. Before my grandmother died, she taught me the songs, even though she said we would never need them again. She said the sickness was gone forever. She was wrong, Rebecca said quietly. Yes. Charlene looked away, toward where her own child had died. I did not know the full song. I only had fragments, not enough to save my son. The pain in the dragon's voice was raw and fresh. Rebecca understood that pain. She was living it right now, feeling it grow with every weak breath Lily took. Could it work on a human? Rebecca asked. Even if you remembered the whole thing? I do not know. Charlene's wings rustled, a sign of agitation. Dragon medicine and human medicine are not the same. Our bodies work differently. What heals us might kill you. She's dying anyway, Rebecca said. The words came out flat and hard. Without something, she has days at most, maybe hours. Charlene turned back to the wall. She studied Lily with an intensity that made Rebecca uncomfortable. It was the look of a predator, calculating and focused. But there was something else there too. Something gentler. The ember passing requires heat, Charlene said slowly. Great heat, more than your kind can survive. A dragon mother holds the dying child against her flame sack here. She touched her chest, just below her neck. The heat and certain enzymes in our breath can sometimes restart failing systems. But human flesh cannot withstand dragon fire. It would burn her immediately. Wait. Rebecca's mind raced, falling back on her years of research. Lily's mutation. The genetic disorder causes problems, but it also creates unusual proteins in her cells. Proteins that provide heat resistance. It's a side effect, meaningless in terms of the disease, but I documented it during testing. Charlene's head snapped toward her. Heat resistance? How much? I don't know exactly. We never tested it fully. There was no reason to. Rebecca pulled up her data pad with one hand, careful not to jostle Lily. She scrolled through medical files until she found the genetic analysis. Here, look at this sequence. She held the pad up to the transparent wall. Charlene leaned close, her eyes scanning the information. Dragons could read human data formats. That much had been established during first contact. This is unusual, Charlene said. Your scientists noted it but did not explore further. It seemed irrelevant. We were focused on the disease, not random protein mutations. Rebecca felt a surge of something between hope and terror. Could it be enough? Could she survive the heat? Perhaps. It is impossible to know without trying. Charlene pulled back from the wall. But there are other problems. We are in quarantine. The medical staff will not allow contact between species. And even if they did, I do not remember the full song. Only parts of it. How much do you remember? Charlene was quiet for a moment. Then she began to hum, low and deep. The sound vibrated through the walls, making the machines in Rebecca's ward tremble slightly. It was not a melody exactly. It had rhythm and pattern, but it felt more like instructions, like a map made of sound. She hummed for perhaps 30 seconds, then stopped. That is all, Charlene said. The beginning and middle sections. The end is lost to me. I cannot remember how my grandmother finished the song. But it's something, Rebecca insisted. It's more than we have now. It might not be enough. If the song is incomplete, the ember passing could fail. Or worse, it could cause pain without healing. Charlene's voice dropped lower. I do not wish to add to your suffering. Rebecca looked down at Lily. Her daughter's breathing had become even more shallow. The blue tinge around her lips had darkened. Time was running out faster than she thought. I need to talk to the doctors, Rebecca said. I need to make them understand. She turned toward the door of her ward, but Charlene's voice stopped her. They will refuse, the dragon said. I have already asked about cross-species medical procedures. Your doctors and mine both said it was too dangerous. Protocol forbids it. Then we break protocol, Rebecca said. That will have consequences. I don't care. Rebecca's voice came out hard and fierce. She's my daughter. I'll break every rule in the galaxy if it gives her a chance. Charlene studied her for a long moment. Then something shifted in the dragon's expression. It might have been respect. It might have been recognition of something familiar. You have a warrior's heart, Charlene said quietly. That is good. You will need it for what comes next. What comes next? Rebecca asked. Convincing them, Charlene said. Or going around them entirely. Dr. Peterson shook his head before Rebecca even finished explaining. He was the chief medical officer on the station, a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. Behind him stood Dr. Kresh, a dragon physician whose scales were rust-red and whose expression was unreadable. Absolutely not, Peterson said. What you're describing violates about 40 different safety protocols. We can't expose your daughter to that kind of heat. It would kill her instantly. She has heat-resistant proteins in her cells, Rebecca argued, holding up her data pad. Look at the genetic analysis. Peterson barely glanced at it. That's theoretical. We've never tested it. For all we know, those proteins do nothing. We could test it now, Rebecca said. Run simulations, do heat trials on her cell samples. There's no time for that, Peterson said, which was true, and they both knew it. And even if the heat doesn't kill her, you're talking about exposing a human infant to dragon enzymes, dragon breath, and God knows what else. We don't understand dragon biology well enough. Dr. Kresh spoke for the first time. His voice came through the translator as a rumbling bass. Charlene claims to know an ancient technique, but she admits her knowledge is incomplete. A partial treatment could cause more harm than good. More harm than death? Rebecca's voice cracked. She's dying right now. This gives her a chance. A chance based on folklore, Peterson said. He softened his tone slightly. Dr. Hayes, I understand what you're going through, but I can't authorize something that might kill your daughter faster or cause her unnecessary pain in her final hours. You mean you won't authorize it because you're afraid of the paperwork if it goes wrong? Rebecca said coldly. Peterson's expression hardened. That's unfair. I'm thinking about your daughter's well-being. No, you're thinking about regulations. Rebecca shifted Lily in her arms. I'm her mother. I'm the one who decides. Not on this station, you don't, Peterson said. I'm the ranking medical authority here. And I'm telling you no. The answer is no. Rebecca stood there for a moment, holding her dying child, staring at the man who would not help her. Then she turned and walked back to the isolation ward without another word. Charlene was waiting by the transparent wall when Rebecca returned. They refused, the dragon said. It was not a question. Yes, Rebecca said. What will you do? Rebecca sat down in the chair beside Lily's medical bed. She looked at her daughter, at the machines keeping track of a life that was slipping away. She thought about rules and protocols and the proper way to do things. Then she thought about Lily never seeing her first birthday, never learning to walk or talk or laugh, never seeing Earth's sky or feeling rain on her face. I'm going to break her out, Rebecca said quietly. Charlene's head tilted. Explain. The isolation wards have airlocks between them. They're locked, but I used to work on stations like this. I know the emergency override codes. Medical personnel can unlock them in case of fire or other disasters. Rebecca pulled up her data pad again, accessing station schematics. If I can get past the first lock, I can bring Lily to your ward. The alarms will sound immediately, Charlene said. I know. Security will come. I know. You could lose your medical license, perhaps face criminal charges. I know that too. Rebecca met the dragon's golden eyes. I don't care. Will you help her if I bring her to you? Charlene was quiet for a long moment. Her wings shifted, folding and unfolding. It was a sign of deep thought. I will try, the dragon finally said. I cannot promise it will work. I cannot promise she will survive. But I will try with everything I have. That's all I'm asking, Rebecca said. She spent the next 2 hours preparing. She memorized the override codes, which were still in the station database from her previous work authorization. She checked Lily's vital signs and adjusted her medications to give her the best chance of surviving the next few hours. She packed a small bag with emergency supplies, and she waited for the night cycle when the station was quieter and fewer staff members walked the corridors. Lily got worse as the hours passed. Her oxygen levels dropped despite the mask. Her heart rate became irregular. The machines beeped more urgently, more often. Rebecca held her daughter and whispered to her, Just hold on a little longer, baby. Just a little longer. When the lights dimmed for night cycle, Rebecca stood up. She wrapped Lily carefully in a thermal blanket and held her against her chest. With her free hand, she pulled up the override interface on her data pad. Her hands were shaking. She forced them to be steady. The code still worked. The first airlock door slid open with a soft hiss. Warning lights immediately began flashing. An automated voice announced a quarantine breach. Rebecca stepped through quickly. The door closed behind her. She was in the space between wards now, a small area maybe 10 feet across. Ahead was the second door, leading into Charlene's ward. She entered the second override code. Nothing happened. Rebecca's heart stopped. She tried again, carefully entering each digit. Still nothing. They had changed the secondary codes. Of course they had. They must have updated the system after she made her request earlier. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. Loud, urgent alarms that meant security would be coming soon. Rebecca felt panic rising in her throat. She was trapped between the wards, holding her dying daughter, with no way forward and no way back that did not mean giving up. Then the second door opened from the other side. Charlene stood there, massive and imposing. One of her clawed hands held a torn piece of metal that had clearly been part of the door's locking mechanism. "Dragon solution," Charlene said calmly. "Come quickly." Rebecca did not hesitate. She ran through the doorway into the dragon's ward. Behind her, she could hear shouting in the corridors, human voices and dragon voices, all confused and alarmed. Charlene moved to the center of the ward and crouched down, making herself as small as possible. She gestured to a space near her chest. "Give her to me," the dragon said gently. This was it. The moment of no return. Rebecca could still change her mind, could still hand Lily back to the human doctors and let nature take its course. Instead, she stepped forward and carefully placed her daughter in Charlene's massive clawed hands. The dragon cradled Lily with impossible gentleness, her claws positioned carefully to avoid the soft skin. "I will sing the old songs," Charlene said, looking down at the tiny human infant. "If your daughter has the strength of her mother, she will hear them." Then she pulled Lily close against her chest and began to hum. The sound that came from Charlene was like nothing Rebecca had ever heard. It was deep and resonant, vibrating through the air itself. The dragon's chest began to glow faintly beneath her scales, a warm orange light that grew brighter as she sang. Lily looked impossibly small against Charlene's chest. The thermal blanket had fallen away, leaving the baby exposed to the heat that was building in the dragon's body. Rebecca could feel the temperature rising even from where she stood several feet away. "Is it too much?" Rebecca asked, her voice tight with fear. "Is she burning?" "Not yet," Charlene said without stopping her song. Her words wove in and out of the melody. "The heat builds slowly. The song tells my body how much to give." The glow intensified. Lily's skin began to turn red, flushed with heat that should have been unbearable. But she did not cry out. Instead, she seemed to relax slightly, her breathing becoming less labored. Rebecca watched the medical monitors that were still attached to Lily. Her daughter's heart rate was climbing, but it was strong and steady. Her oxygen levels were holding. The proteins in her cells, the ones the doctors said were meaningless, were doing their job. They were protecting her from heat that would have killed any other human infant. The door behind them burst open. Dr. Peterson ran in, followed by security officers and Dr. Kresh. They all stopped short when they saw what was happening. "What are you doing?" Peterson shouted. "Stop this immediately." Charlene's song never wavered. She adjusted her position slightly, shielding Lily with her wings. "You need to give the child back," Dr. Kresh said, his voice more measured than Peterson's but equally concerned. "This is dangerous. More dangerous than letting her die?" Rebecca asked. She positioned herself between the doctors and Charlene. "Look at the monitors." "She's responding. Her vitals are improving." Peterson looked at the screens. His expression showed confusion, then disbelief. "That's impossible. She should be in shock from the heat alone." "Humans are more adaptable than you give us credit for," Rebecca said. The glow from Charlene's chest grew brighter still. She bent her long neck down, bringing her snout close to Lily's small body. Then she exhaled, a slow and controlled breath that misted the air around the baby. Rebecca smelled something strange, sharp and metallic with an underlying sweetness. Dragon breath carried enzymes and compounds that human biology had never encountered before. This could poison Lily. It could trigger allergies or immune responses that would kill her faster than the disease, or it could save her. The mist settled over Lily's skin like morning dew. Where it touched, the baby's red flush deepened to something healthier, less like a burn and more like natural color returning to pale cheeks. "The enzymes are being absorbed," Dr. Kresh said quietly. He was watching his own medical equipment now, dragon sensors that could read things human machines could not. "Her cellular activity is increasing. I'm seeing responses in her bone marrow, her lymph nodes, her liver." "What kind of responses?" Peterson demanded. "Regenerative ones." Dr. Kresh sounded awed. "The damaged cells are repairing themselves." "No, not repairing. Transforming. They're changing their structure." Charlene's song changed pitch. It became higher, more urgent. The pattern shifted, becoming faster and more complex. Rebecca recognized it somehow, though she had never heard anything like it before. It was instructions. The song was telling Lily's body what to do, cell by cell. Other dragons had arrived at the door of the ward. They did not enter, but they watched. Rebecca saw them begin to sway slightly, moving in time with Charlene's song. One of them, an older dragon with silver scales, began to hum along. The sound harmonized with Charlene's melody, adding depth and richness. The elder knows the song, Dr. Kresh said softly. She remembers what was lost. More dragons joined the harmony. They were adding their voices to Charlene's, filling in gaps that had been empty for thousands of years. The isolation ward filled with sound so deep that Rebecca felt it in her bones. It was not just hearing the song. It was experiencing it, feeling it move through the air and into her body and into Lily. The glow in Charlene's chest began to fade. The song slowed, becoming gentler. The other dragons' voices dropped away one by one until only Charlene remained. Humming a soft and simple melody, finally, she stopped. The silence that followed felt enormous. Charlene lifted her head and looked down at the infant in her hands. Lily's eyes were open. They were bright and clear, more alert than Rebecca had seen them in weeks. The baby moved her arms, tiny fists opening and closing. She made a small sound, not quite a cry, but close to it. Her vital signs are stable, Peterson said. He sounded shocked. Actually, they're better than stable. They're stronger than they've been since we admitted her. Dr. Kresh checked his own instruments. The cellular degradation has stopped. The damaged tissue is regenerating. It's as if the disease never existed. Rebecca could not speak. She could barely breathe. She watched as Charlene carefully, so carefully, lifted Lily and held her out. Your daughter, the dragon said simply. Rebecca took Lily in shaking hands. The baby was warm but not burning hot. Her skin had returned to a normal color. She looked at Rebecca with focused eyes and made a cooing sound. Thank you, Rebecca whispered. The words were inadequate, but they were all she had. Charlene nodded slowly. The song was complete because the elders remembered. We saved her together, your kind and mine. The silver-scaled elder dragon spoke for the first time, her voice coming through the translator as ancient and wise. The kindred sickness is not gone from the universe. It only sleeps. When it wakes again, we will know how to fight it. This child will live to tell others. This is how knowledge survives. Peterson stepped forward, looking between Rebecca, Lily, and Charlene. We need to run tests. Extensive tests. We need to understand what happened here. Later, Dr. Kresh said firmly. For now, let the mother hold her child. Let the healer rest. There will be time for science after we appreciate the miracle. Rebecca sat down on the floor of the dragon's ward, too overwhelmed to stand anymore. She held Lily close and felt the strong, steady heartbeat against her chest. The alarms were still sounding somewhere in the station. Security officers stood in the doorway, unsure what to do. Dragons and humans crowded the corridor outside, all trying to see what had happened. But in the isolation ward, there was peace. A human mother and a dragon healer, bound together by something deeper than species or language. Charlene curled her massive body around them both, creating a shelter with her wings. Rest now, she said gently. The difficult part is over. Rebecca leaned back against the dragon's warm scales, too exhausted to do anything else. She was holding her daughter. Her living daughter. Nothing else mattered. 2 days after the ember passing, Rebecca sat in a conference room facing a panel of officials. Station administrators, medical board representatives, diplomats from both human and dragon governments. They all wanted answers. They all had questions about what she had done. Rebecca did not care about any of it. Lily was alive. That was the only answer that mattered. You violated quarantine protocols, said Commander Wells, the station's administrative head. You broke through secured doors. You exposed your infant daughter to untested alien procedures that could have killed her. They saved her instead, Rebecca said calmly. You didn't know that would happen. You took an enormous risk. I took the only chance she had. Rebecca met the commander's eyes without flinching. If you're going to punish me for that, fine. But I'd do it again. Dr. Kresh spoke from his position at the table. The ember passing worked because of unique factors. The child's genetic mutation provided heat resistance. Charlene remembered fragments of an ancient technique. The elder dragons present recalled the complete song. And most importantly, the human mother trusted us enough to allow it. Trust, said Ambassador Yenish, the human diplomat assigned to dragon relations. That's an interesting word. We've been negotiating with the dragon worlds for months trying to build trust, and it took a desperate mother and a grieving dragon to show us how. The dragon diplomat, whose name translated roughly as Singing Wind, nodded her large head. My people are impressed by what we witnessed. Humans are fragile, yet this human female showed the courage of a warrior. She broke your laws to protect her young. This is something we understand deeply. So no punishment? Commander Wells asked. No punishment from my government, Singing Wind said. Instead, recognition. Charlene has requested that Rebecca Hayes be granted the title of Flamekin. This is a great honor among dragons. It means chosen family. Rebecca blinked in surprise. I didn't know that. Charlene wished to ask you formally in the proper way, Singing Wind explained. But I am authorized to tell this committee that such a bond carries implications. If you accept, you become part of Dragon Society. You will have protections and responsibilities. Ambassador Yenesh leaned forward. And the diplomatic implications of a human becoming Dragon Flamekin? It could be the beginning of true alliance, Singing Wind said simply. Or it could be nothing more than the personal bond between two mothers. That depends on what both sides choose to make of it. The meeting went on for another hour, but the conclusion was clear. Rebecca would not be punished. Instead, she and Lily would become symbols of something larger. The media was already calling it the ember passing miracle. Scientists wanted to study what had happened. Diplomats wanted to use it as a foundation for better relations. Rebecca just wanted to take her daughter home. They released her from the medical station 3 days later. Lily was healthy now, stronger than she had ever been. The tests showed that the disease was completely gone. More than that, Lily's cellular structure had changed in subtle ways. The dragon enzymes had left permanent markers in her bloodstream. She would carry traces of the ember passing for the rest of her life. Will it affect her as she grows? Rebecca asked Dr. Peterson. We don't know, he admitted. But so far, all the changes seem beneficial. Her immune system is stronger. Her cells are more resilient. If anything, she's healthier than a normal infant. Before they left, Charlene came to say goodbye. The dragon crouched in the corridor outside Rebecca's quarters, too large to fit through the doorway. Rebecca brought Lily out to see her. I want to thank you properly, Rebecca said. But I don't know how. You already have. You trusted me with what was most precious to you. Charlene reached out one claw and gently touched Lily's small hand. The baby grabbed the claw and held on with surprising strength. She is strong. She will grow well. Because of you, Rebecca said. Because of both of us. Because you were brave enough to break the rules when rules no longer served life. Charlene's golden eyes met Rebecca's. I must ask you something now. It is traditional among my people. What is it? When my child died, part of my heart died with him. I did not think I would ever feel that part again. But when I held your daughter, when I sang the old songs and felt her life strengthen, something in me healed. Charlene's voice was soft. I would like to be part of her life if you permit it. To watch her grow. To be there when she needs guidance. Dragons take such bonds seriously. If you accept, I will be as a second mother to her. Rebecca felt tears in her eyes. I would be honored. Then we are flamekin, Charlene said. Bound not by blood but by fire and choice. The dragon began to hum, a short melody that Rebecca now recognized as ceremonial. Other dragons in the station took up the sound, creating a brief harmony that echoed through the corridors. When it ended, Charlene bowed her head. It was a gesture of deep respect. Rebecca bowed back, Lily still in her arms. I have something to give you, Charlene said. She pulled out a small device, smooth and dark. This is a communicator. It will reach me wherever I am in the galaxy. When Lily is older, when she has questions about what happened to her, I will answer them. And if she ever faces the kindred sickness again, if it ever returns, I will come immediately. Rebecca took the communicator with her free hand. Thank you. For everything. Take care of our daughter, Charlene said. Our daughter. The word settled over Rebecca like a warm blanket. Lily was hers by birth, but now she belonged to two worlds, human and dragon, science and song. I will, Rebecca promised. They parted ways at the docking bay. Rebecca carried Lily onto the transport ship that would take them back to human space. She found a seat by the window and watched as the station grew smaller behind them. Lily made a small noise and waved her arms. Rebecca smiled and kissed her daughter's forehead. You're going to have an interesting life, she whispered, but that's okay. So will I. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, and the stars became streaks of light outside the window. Rebecca held Lily close and thought about the dragon mother who had saved them both, about trust and courage and the things that connected different species. She thought about going home, but realized that home had changed. It was not just Earth anymore. It was bigger now, wider. It included dragons and songs and bonds that crossed the space between worlds. Lily fell asleep in her arms, peaceful and warm. Rebecca closed her eyes and let herself rest for the first time in weeks. They were safe. They were whole. They were flamekin, and that was enough. 5 years passed like water flowing downstream, gentle and inevitable. Lily grew up knowing two mothers, Rebecca, who held her when she woke from nightmares and taught her to read, and Charlene, who visited twice each year and taught her the old songs. The scars on Lily's chest were barely visible now, faint silver lines where the dragon's breath had first touched her skin. But the changes went deeper than scars. Lily could hold hot things that would burn other children. She learned languages faster than normal, as if the dragon enzymes had rewired part of her brain, and sometimes, when she was very happy or very excited, her skin would flush with a faint warmth that had nothing to do with fever. Rebecca had taken a position at the new Interspecies Medical Institute on Earth. The organization existed because of what happened to Lily. Humans and dragons now shared medical knowledge freely. The ember passing had been documented, tested, refined. 3 other human children with similar genetic disorders had been saved using the technique. But the institute was not just about medicine. It was about building bridges. Dragon healers worked alongside human doctors. Dragon songs were being translated into digital formats while still preserving their original meaning. Young humans learned dragon traditions, and young dragons learned human science. Charlene had become an ambassador of sorts, though she preferred the title teacher. She spent half her time on Earth, living in a specially designed habitat near the Institute. Children came to hear her stories and learn her songs. Adults came to understand dragon culture, and every evening, if she was on Earth, Charlene would visit Rebecca and Lily. Today was a special day. Lily's 5th birthday. Rebecca had organized a party in the garden behind their house, a large space with room for both human and dragon guests. Lily ran between the adults, her dark hair flying behind her. She wore a dress that had small dragons embroidered on the hem, a gift from Charlene last year. Human children played tag with young dragons, species mixing without thought or fear. It had not been like this 5 years ago. Then humans and dragons barely spoke. Now their children played together. "She is happy," Charlene said, settling her bulk carefully on the reinforced platform Rebecca had built for her. "This pleases me." "She loves her birthday," Rebecca said, sitting beside the dragon with a cup of coffee. "Though she's been asking questions lately." "What kind of questions?" "About what happened when she was a baby, about why she's different from other children." Rebecca watched Lily climb a tree with the ease of a child who did not fear falling. "She found her medical records on my computer. She's smart enough to understand what they mean." "She deserves to know her story," Charlene said. "I know. I've just been waiting for the right time." Perhaps today is that time. The party continued into the evening. When the sun began to set and the other guests had left, only Lily, Rebecca, and Charlene remained in the garden. Lily climbed onto the platform and nestled between her two mothers. She was small enough to fit comfortably in the curve of Charlene's body, and Rebecca sat on her other side. "Mama," Lily said, looking up at Rebecca, "why did I have scars on my chest?" "The record said I was sick, but I don't remember being sick." Rebecca glanced at Charlene. The dragon nodded slightly. "You were very sick when you were a baby," Rebecca began. "So sick that human doctors couldn't help you. I thought I was going to lose you." Lily's eyes widened. "But I'm okay now, because Charlene saved you." She used an ancient dragon healing technique called the ember passing. "What's that?" Lily asked. Charlene shifted slightly, lowering her head so she could look Lily in the eyes. "It is a song, little flame. A song that tells the body how to heal itself. My people used it long ago when children were dying from a terrible sickness. The knowledge was almost lost, but I remembered enough, and your mother was brave enough to let me try." "Was it dangerous?" Lily asked. "Very dangerous," Rebecca said honestly. "But you were dying anyway, so I broke the rules and brought you to Charlene, and she held you against her chest and sang the old songs, and the heat and the dragon breath changed your body. They fixed what was broken. Lily was quiet for a moment, processing this. Is that why I can touch hot things? Yes, Charlene said. The ember passing left marks on you inside and outside. You carry part of dragon healing in your cells now. You are unique, little flame. The first human child to be touched by dragon fire and live. Am I still human? Lily asked, and there was a note of worry in her voice. Rebecca pulled her daughter close. Of course you are. You're my little girl. You'll always be human, but you're also something more. You're a bridge between two worlds. Flamekin, Charlene said gently. That is what we call you. It means you belong to both of us, to both peoples. Human and dragon. Lily looked between her two mothers. So I have two families? Yes, Rebecca said. That's pretty cool, Lily decided. She leaned against Charlene's warm scales. Will you teach me the healing songs? When you are older, Charlene said. The songs are complex. They require years of study. But if you wish to learn, I will teach you everything I know. I want to help other kids, Lily said. Kids who are sick like I was. Rebecca felt her heart swell with pride. Then we'll make sure you can. You can study at the Institute when you're older. Learn both human medicine and dragon healing. And maybe one day, Charlene added, you will discover things that neither of our peoples know yet. New ways to heal, new ways to help. That is the gift of being Flamekin. You can see things from both sides. They sat together as the stars came out. Three beings bound by choice and love and a desperate act of faith 5 years ago. The garden was quiet except for the sound of night insects and the distant hum of the city. Lily started to hum softly, one of the simple songs Charlene had taught her. It was a dragon lullaby, ancient and gentle. Charlene joined in, her deep voice harmonizing with the child's higher one. Rebecca did not know the words, but she hummed along anyway, feeling the vibration of the song move through all three of them. This was family. Not defined by blood or species, but by the bonds forged in fire and desperation and hope. When the song ended, Lily had fallen asleep between them, safe and warm. Thank you, Rebecca whispered to Charlene, for everything. For saving her. For staying. For being part of our lives. Thank you, Charlene replied. For trusting me when trust was impossible. For teaching me that grief does not have to be the end. That sometimes from loss comes something beautiful. They sat in comfortable silence, watching over the sleeping child who belonged to both their worlds. Above them the stars shone down, the same stars that dragons had sung to for thousands of years and humans had studied for just as long. Different species, different methods, same wonder. Lily stirred in her sleep and smiled, dreaming whatever dreams come to children who are loved completely. And in the garden, two mothers kept watch, united by something stronger than law or protocol or even biology. United by the simple truth that love, in any language, means protecting what matters most, even if it means breaking every rule in the galaxy to do it.